So that was fun. Almost had somebody from Sony convince me to completely switch camera systems to get the Sony a7S III, which I think is a fantastic camera, absolutely. Amazing, amazing camera. But I think with where I am right now with my content creation and everything, and just having gotten the Canon R5, and obviously cost being a big issue, I don't know, I considered it because if I could sell what I have right now and purchase a Sony a7S III with some lenses, then definitely, because it's definitely a worthwhile system to invest in, especially with the fact that Sony has so much more compatibility with glass. Like they have a lot more available third-party off-market lenses that you can use for them that work just as well as the native Sony lenses. So it's definitely a good option. But I think right now where I am with all my content creation and the professional work, I don't think I'll be doing that. So sorry, representative at Sony, if you ever do see this, then I won't be switching just yet, but you definitely put a little idea in my mind as to whether I should or not. Yeah, so that was a close call. Close call. Good job. Guy definitely deserves a raise. Now, before I move on, guys, I just want to say this video was brought to you by Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Sound has a massive library of royalty-free music that you can use for any of your content. So whether it be for your shorts, your videos, Twitch, whatever it is that you're going to be using music for, Epidemic Sound has everything. It's completely royalty-free, which means that you won't get any copyright strikes if you use it. And it's a fantastic source, and you can get music of any type that you want. So if you want to check it out, then make sure you hit that link down in the description box below. It gives you a 30-day free trial to Epidemic Sound, and then you can see for yourself how great it is. And so yeah, I was really close to switching. The guy at Sony was fantastic. Once again, kudos to him. He deserves a promotion because he really convinced me to almost switch and get myself a Sony a7S III. Now, will I be getting the Sony a7S III? Only time will tell, but it's really, really an attractive choice. Playing around with the Sony a7S III and some of the other Sony cameras like the a7 IV, I did get a good feel as to what the guy was talking about. They are quite light, they're nice, they're sleek, they look good, and they do the job, right? And they have fewer issues than what some of the Canon or higher end Canon cameras have faced in recent years, like the R5 that I'm using to film right now. So the R5 has historically had overheating issues, and that was a big thing. And it's only in the recent firmware update that they managed to do something about that overheating, actually do something about the overheating by giving that higher threshold in the set. Like you actually get to set it in the settings when it notifies you about the overheating warning or whatever it is. On top of that, there were a few pros about getting the Sony a7S III or switching to a Sony system that I saw that was convincing me, such as unlimited record time, downsampled 4K, and you know, the low light capabilities that camera has. Fantastic features and definitely worth considering. But does that mean I'm going to switch to Sony straight away? I don't know. I really don't know. It's unlikely, might be likely. I really don't have an idea right now. What I'm going to say is that switching systems is a big thing. There are definitely pros and cons to it. And there is this age-old argument about switching from Sony to Canon or Canon to Sony. And you've seen loads of creators on YouTube who have videos on this. Oh, I've switched to Sony. I finally switched to Sony. I switched to the Sony a7S III from the Canon R5. I sold my Canon R5 to get the Sony a7S III. Will I be one of those creators who makes a similar kind of video in the near future? I absolutely have no idea. But if I do, then I will have had some sort of a justified reason behind it. Not that I don't like my Canon cameras. I absolutely love Canon. I've used Canon from day one. But switching systems is such a big job. There are definitely pros and cons to it. The pros being what it is that you're looking for in that new system, what it is that has attracted you in that new system, whether it be autofocus, unlimited record time, you know, no overheating. I don't know. There's so many things that could have attracted somebody to switch over to a new system. Just usability and just whatever it is that it is. But there's also cons to it, and those cons are basically things like the logistics behind using a new camera. Buying new gear to go with that camera, buying new lenses to fit that camera, buying new memory cards, buying new batteries, all of that stuff. The overall cost of switching systems is a big thing to consider. Not only that, the time that you're going to have to put behind that new system. If you've been using a certain system for a long time, such as me, I've been using Canon for God knows how long now. I'm so used to the Canon user interface and the Canon system, the workflow, that switching to Sony is going to be a massive learning curve. I'm going to have to relearn everything, remap my brain to fit around the Sony system. And that's going to take some time, and it could even affect my workflow for a little while until I get used to it. So there's a lot of things, especially if you're a professional filmmaker or professional videographer, there's a lot of things to consider there. If you're a new YouTuber or a new filmmaker, then stick with what you've got. The best camera is the one that you've already got. Sometimes that's your phone, sometimes that's the camera that you've bought and used. One of the discussions I was having at the photography and video show was that, and a lot of people agreed with me, and this was something that I spoke to quite a few people about, is that the camera is such a personal tool. When you go out and buy a camera, you're investing not only so much money in it, but also so much time and care into that camera. It becomes kind of like an extension of yourself. You learn to use it like the back of your hand. It becomes it's a very personal thing. And when you consider whether you want to take that and switch, you've got to really make that choice based off of what works best for you. And that comes down to kind of everything. Does gear matter? Depends on what you need that gear for. And does the camera system matter? Depends on what you need that for. And so it really just boils down to what reason you're going to be needing that camera for, and whether switching it is worth it or not. So if you're out there and you're considering switching cameras, then make sure you have a good think about it. Am I going to switch to Sony? Am I going to get the Sony a7S III? I don't know. Time will tell. But if I do, you guys will definitely be the first to find out. So if you guys want to see more videos on cameras, tech, reviews, tutorials, make sure you hit one of those links on the screen. Until next time, this is Kai24 signing out.